Hi, this is Art, and this is from my book And Another Thing, an eclectic collection of musings, afterthoughts, and paternal rantings. Having been in the business world for most of my adult life, I've learned a thing or two about artful negotiating. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm no expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I've been amazed to learn that just about everything is negotiable. My favorite example of this is the time my new boss called me on a Sunday afternoon to inform me that he had been looking through the newspaper and had found what he thought was a suitable desk for my office. It was a used desk being sold by a private party in another part of town. The newspaper ad made it sound like a really good deal, even though he had not been planning to spend the almost $700 that the sellers were asking. The boss asked me to meet him so that we could drive over and look at the desk together. When we arrived at the residence that was listed in the paper, we were both surprised at what we saw. The desk had been placed outside in the backyard amongst some other old furniture. One of the legs was missing and the desk was kind of leaning over. What my boss saw was an old hunk of junk sitting in a pile of rubble. But what I saw was a magnificent, large, circa 1930s piece of furniture that could be cleaned up and used for something very practical. It had a huge surface area and various pullouts and drawers. I saw it as a very practical piece of furniture that had charm and character. As the two of us stood there staring at the desk, the boss spoke first. "Boss, this is not at all what I had envisioned. I wouldn't pay more than $100 for this hunk of junk." "Art, I like it. Why don't you offer her $100 and see what she says?" "Boss, huh?" "Art, I like the desk. It's big and very practical. Offer her $100. See what she says." The boss and I debated the matter for several minutes. He was telling me how unsightly the desk was and how it would ruin the look of the office. I argued that the old desk had character and was extremely practical. Perhaps he was simply trying to appease me, but when the seller returned, the conversation went something like this. Seller: "Well, what do you think?" Boss: "It's not at all what I had pictured. I don't want to insult you, but I wouldn't pay more than $100 for this desk." Seller, after a brief pause: "Could you pay at least $200? Boss, sticking to his guns: "There's no way I'd pay more than $100. Seller: "How soon can you get it out of here?" The boss reluctantly wrote a check, and we arranged to have the desk picked up that evening. The missing leg turned out to be in one of the drawers, and after a little elbow grease and some furniture polish, the desk was mine. I used that desk for the next 10 years, and the boss even offered to let me take it with me when I moved out of state. I don't think he liked it very much. That $100 desk turned out to be one of my most cherished possessions, and I always made sure it was polished and shiny. Most of my years in the real estate business were spent negotiating sales contracts for sellers. One of the most common phrases I heard from sellers was, "I am insulted by their low offer." I would explain that there is really no such thing as an insult in negotiations. I tell my clients the buyers are simply looking for your bottom line, just like you're going to be looking for theirs. So instead of throwing your hands up in the air and saying "I am insulted," the correct response would be to offer them a reasonable counteroffer, something that you can live with. It doesn't cost you anything to do so, and many sales transactions come together after multiple counteroffers. I had a client once ask me if I was pretty good at getting the sellers everything they wanted. My answer to this young lady was somewhat flippant, but brutally honest. I said, "Sellers never get what they want, but neither do buyers. Buyers always feel that they paid too much, and sellers always feel that they received too little. So, as long as everyone is equally unhappy, I feel like I've done my job." Not long ago, I entered a rather high-end jewelry store to buy my wife a birthday gift. The young lady who waited on me was extremely helpful, and after deciding on the gold necklace that I knew I'd be buying, I asked the young woman the price. She informed me that the price was $400. That was about the figure I had in mind, But with an inquisitive look on my face, I asked her how much I could get it for. She rather indignantly informed me that this was not the type of establishment where patrons came to haggle. The price was the price, and in this case, the price was $400. Period. Well, with a completely straight face, I told the young woman that I understood, but then asked again how much the price would be for me. At this point, her face turned to stone as she sternly informed me, "Sir, the price is $400. Well, she and I must have stood there staring at that necklace for about 30 seconds or so before she finally said, "Maybe I can get you 5% off." Now at this point, I'm thinking to myself, gee, I just made $20 in less than a minute. Of course, I had to further test my negotiating skills, so I said rather disappointedly, "Can't you do any better than that?" The woman, utterly red-faced by this time, muttered something completely unintelligible, turned around and walked away. And she was gone for a really long time. I didn't know if she was coming back. But she did come back, and when she did, she said, "The very best I can do is 10% off." To which I replied, "That'll be just fine. By the way, do you gift wrap?" Now, you might think that my little experiment in negotiating was crass, but in many parts of the world, this is how business is conducted. The stated price is only a starting point. When my wife and I lived in San Diego, we used to enjoy going down to Tijuana in Mexico. The shopping there is a bit intimidating at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's kind of fun. They really do put on a show. And it's kind of funny to see a merchant running out of the store to chase a customer down the street and yelling something like, "Okay, cheapskate, you can have it for $10. We all negotiate every day, whether we realize it or not. We negotiate with our spouses. We negotiate with our bosses and coworkers. We even negotiate with ourselves. Gee, I know I shouldn't be eating this, but I really have been good all week, and so I deserve it." The best negotiators are our kids. "Can I have it?" "No, you'll spoil your dinner." "Can I have just one?" "I said no, N-O." "Can I have one if I promise to eat all my dinner?" "Okay, but only if you promise." The key to any negotiation is to first decide what you want to accomplish, and then see how close you can come. Thanks for watching.